In this lecture, we're going to discuss operant conditioning. The lesson is titled Motivation Through Consequences because we look at the motivating factors involved in consequences to our behaviors in the workplace. We have viewed up to this point the psychological system and its inputs, throughput processes, and outputs. Again, we view the human psychological system as one that includes attention, perception, and cognition, and personality and locus of control, and other factors, but those have been several that we've discussed. And we look at the extent to which an input, often otherwise called a stimuli, results in an output, a response. And in the cognitive theories of motivation that we've studied so far, we think about what the throughput processes are, or we focus on what the throughput processes are based on a given theory, equity theory, motivation through job redesign, or expectancy theory, or goal setting. And in those, it's again a cognitive theory, so that we believe that the individual thinks about his or her position in the workplace and makes decisions based upon those cognitive processes. Now, in this theory, we're going to talk about reinforcement, punishments, and extinction, and also observational learning and self-regulation. We're going to look at stimulus and response. A discriminative stimulus is something that sets the stage for a response. The operant response is, again, a voluntary response to a discriminative stimulus. Stimulus response is what operant conditioning is all about. In 1905, Thorndike described the law of effect, and essentially he said that when humans perform a behavior, if it's followed by satisfaction, they're more likely to do it in the future, and of course the opposite is true. If there's something dissatisfying about the experience, then we're less likely to do it in the future. Pure operant conditioning is what we're going to look at. B.F. Skinner, the most famous of the operant conditioning psychologist, believes that we can't truly assess throughputs, that we can't actually observe what's going on in someone's head, which of course we can't actually observe it, whereas the cognitive psychologists believe that we can at least make inferences about what's going on there. Skinner says all that we're concerned with is results. We all recall Pavlov's experiment with dogs. Meat plus a bell equals salivation. The dog was given meat, and along with the meat, a bell would be rung. The dog would soon, over a period of time, come to associate the bell with food, and then would begin salivating. So just that one stimuli, or one stimulus, the ringing of a bell, would cause the dog to start salivating. Consequences. From the work of Skinner, the consequences of an action dictate the behavior, more so than the throughput processes. So, the consequence of our behavior is the controlling factor from the perspective of those who believe that operant conditioning better describes how we behave as humans. When we reinforce a behavior, in other words, something typically positive occurs as a result of the behavior, we're more likely to recur. If there's an aversive consequence, then it decreases the probability that the behavior will continue or reoccur. Now, what can we do as leaders to take advantage of operant conditioning? We can engage in what's called positive reinforcement. The leader provides some reward which is likely to increase behavior. The leader can also provide negative reinforcement, which seeks to increase a desirable behavior. Other psychologists call this avoidance learning. It's reinforcement because it's designed to increase desired behavior. Reinforcement in general is designed to increase or create the conditions where reoccurring behavior is more likely. We can also punish, which decreases undesirable behavior. Now, one of the difficulties in this theory is distinguishing between negative reinforcement and punishment. And of course, we have organizational and legal definitions about what is punishment. In some organizations, a written reprimand might be the first level of punishment. Others, with some suspension for a period of time. Some organizations typically don't, or most organizations typically don't, consider some form of oral counseling to be a form of punishment. Extinction occurs in the workplace. If a person's behavior, good or bad, is not followed by any consequences, that behavior is likely to diminish or go away. Now, we are all familiar with young children who throw tantrums, who throw a tantrum to gain attention. So if we give them attention, we reward the bad behavior, then it's likely to increase. If we don't provide the reward the child seeks, the attention, then the bad behavior will go away. Now, it doesn't quite work that way in the adult world. We know typically that in the adult world, especially the workplace, that ignoring bad behavior is not likely to reduce its reoccurrence. What is more likely in the adult workplace is that if we ignore good behavior, it's likely to go away. If we don't acknowledge, and I've discussed in previous lectures and in class, the FAST principle: frequent, accurate, specific, and timely feedback. If we don't provide feedback, then good behavior is likely to go away, which again is another one of the significant flaws of annual performance appraisal systems. Waiting a year to tell someone that they've done something good is more likely to create extinction than if we apply the FAST principle. So again, in the workplace for adults, extinction is much more likely if we ignore good behavior. That good behavior may disappear. There's also observational learning. We know that humans don't need to necessarily experience the aversive negative consequence to a behavior in order to learn from it. They can observe what others experience. And the same applies for positive reinforcement in terms of rewards. If we observe someone do something, they're rewarded for it, we can learn from that. We can come to believe that, well, if we do that, we'll get a reward as well. Likewise, if we see someone engage in a behavior and they're punished for it, then we can learn not to do that. And of course, that's the whole rationale or the criminological theory behind much of our criminal law. The law of deterrence, that we believe that people are capable of observational learning, that if we set an example, then others are more likely to obey the law. There is a form of self-regulation, a desire for intrinsic reward. In this, the person actually develops a sense of satisfaction or accomplishment, and it's associated with or is controlled by a strong internal moral code. Most people believe that we should provide quality work for the pay we get. Of course, we've discussed in equity and expectancies theories that pay or other forms of reward must be equitable and that they must be appropriate to the level of work or quality or quantity of work. But intrinsic reward is something that we give ourselves. And again, it comes from our deep sense of right and wrong, and it guides that behavior. So some individuals don't necessarily need a great deal of feedback. You should still give frequent, accurate, specific, and timely feedback, and in that case, more not as a reward, but as a way to guide or improve performance over time.